Are you struggling to make your make.com scenario smart enough to know where a user is in a conversation or a workflow? Today, I'm going to show you how to use routers and data stores to add powerful conditional logic without writing a single line of code. Hi everyone, my name is Kirill, and on this channel we explore Python, AI, and no-code automations to help you build smarter applications. In this video, you will learn how to store user state in make.com, use routers to control conversation flow, and create a lead qualifying WhatsApp bot. So let's kick off. This is the make.com scenario, which allows you to connect your WhatsApp account to make.com, do all the integrations with data store, then implement the routing logic, and finally respond to the user accordingly. So I'm going to take you through each individual component in this scenario, and I'm going to explain you how you can basically replicate this logic to create your own lead qualifying bot. So to start with, you need to create an empty make.com scenario. So if you don't have an account in make.com, you can click on the link down in the description. It's completely free to sign up, and you also get 1,000 free operations per month. So once you have signed up, you need to create a brand new scenario. And then the first component that you need to use is called WhatsApp Business Cloud. So you need to find the component which is WhatsApp, and then you need to select the one which is about watching events. So what this does is basically it listens for new messages which people are going to send to your WhatsApp business account, and it's going to receive those messages and then process them accordingly. So when you add this component to your make.com scenario, you need to create a webhook, and you also need to create a WhatsApp business connection by clicking on this add button. So if you don't have an existing WhatsApp connection, I will add a video or a link to a video somewhere on the screen, which is going to take you to one of my previous videos where I explain step by step on how to basically create an account in Meta, which is going to then be used for utilizing the logic from WhatsApp. So once you have added your WhatsApp business account and you have created a webhook, then you need to basically make a copy of this, because you will need this in integrating it into your Meta's account. And yes, so the next component in this scenario will be the data store. So that you can think of this data store as some sort of a database or a tabular format, which is going to basically have all the data that you tell it to store. And yeah, so let's take a look at this component. So as you can see, it refers to a data store which is called my data store. So we're going to look at how this is defined in a moment. And in order to get something from the data store, we use like a key, which is going to be used as a lookup. So this is similar, like it's a similar concept from Excel. So if you want to do like a VLOOKUP or something like this, then this works in exactly the same way. So you give it a key, and then it's going to return some data if there is a matching key in the table. And for this purpose, we're using the sender's, basically the sender's mobile phone as a key, and then it's going to tell us if we have any data that we've received or any messages that we've received from this person. And yeah, so let's take a look at this data store and just see what fields we have. So basically what you need to do is from the menu on the left hand side, you need to click on this button, which is more, and then you need to select data stores. So by default, you're not going to have any data stores in your account. So what you need to do is you need to click on this button, add data store, And after this, you will be presented with this dialog box. And what you need to do is basically you need to define the fields which are going to be inside this data store. So these are the like five fields which I have defined and which are present in the data store. So we have key, current step, service, budget, and timeline. So the key will be the person's phone number. Then the current step will keep track of the conversation state. Then the service is obvious, so what kind of service the user wants. Then the user's budget and the timelines that they're looking to complete their service in. And yeah, so this is pretty much the structure of our data store. And yeah, so once you have defined all these fields, then you basically need to click on a button, which is going to be like create data store. And this is going to basically create this data store for you. As you can see, this data store is like in a tabular format. And again, you've got all the different fields which we have defined, and you can see the first column is the key, which will be the phone number of the person who is basically sending messages to our WhatsApp bot. Going back to our make.com scenario, so this second component is called data store get a record. So what we want to do in this case is we want to check if we have any basically record for this person who is sending us a message, just so we know how to proceed or like what questions we need to ask. So what this is going to do is it's going to do a lookup based on the person's phone number into our data store. And if there is a record, then it's going to get all the data for this phone number. And after this, we introduce this router component, which lets us perform multiple operations. And as you can see, there's four different branches in here. And if I zoom in a little bit, you can see that each branch, it has like a name or a label, if you want to call it. And I've given each branch like a meaningful label so that we know what we're actually doing in each individual pipeline. So you can see the first one is called Ask the First Question. So basically, there is a filter on this, which is basically we're saying, okay, this is the condition. So the current step must be equal to now. This means that basically when we do a lookup in our data store, there is no data for the phone number from which the person is sending us some messages. And since this is the first time, basically we don't have any kind of data for this number or for this person. So the current step in our data store will be empty or null. And in this case, what we want to do is we want to reply to the user with our first message. You need to create this basically component, which is WhatsApp Business Cloud, and then you need to select the component, send the message. And once you have created your WhatsApp Business Cloud connection, then you can just select it from this drop-down list. And yeah, once you've done that, then you need to scroll down. And what you need to do is you need to enter the receiver's phone number, which you can get from the messages or from the message that you got in the first place. And after this, you need to select what type of message you want to send back to the user and the actual message. So this is the first message which we want to send back to our user. And yes, so after this, what we want to do is once we've sent the message back to the user, we want to update the data store. So if we look at this component, it's again data store, but this time it's this component add/replace a record, because At this point, we know that we don't have any data for the person who is sending us a message. So what we want to do is we want to add a new entry or a new row in our data store. And you can see that we're using the person's phone number as a key, and we're basically setting the current step to asked service. So what this means is basically we're then going to use this field to make some basically conditional logic later on, or based on that we're going to apply a different branch. So we're setting the current step to ask service, and then I'll show you how we can use that after this in the next pipeline. So once we have asked the user about what service they want, after this they're going to reply with whatever service they need. And when they do that, then they're going to hit the second branch or the second pipeline in this case. So we're basically hitting this pipeline. I've called it ask about budget. And in here we have a condition, which is basically we're saying, is the current step equal to asked service? So as you remember, we set the current step to asked service after the first message was sent. And this is what is basically driving the conversation flow. So we're just changing this field name for the person who is sending us a message. And then based on that, we determine what the next message should be. So once we have done that, then we need to take a look at this WhatsApp Business Cloud message again. So in this case, we're sending a message, which is, what is your budget? So now we have information about what service the user wants, and we're asking them what their budget is. And in here, what we do is basically we're changing the current step again, and we're also saving the service name which they want. So this will be part of the WhatsApp message which they've sent to us. And after this, we proceed with the third branch, and this one is about asking about the timelines. So again, the condition in here is based on the current step, and then in this case, we're checking if the current step is equal to asked budget. If this is the case, then we're going to send a different WhatsApp message. This is I think, one of the final messages that we send to the user. So this one is called, what is your timeline? So this is the message that will be sent. And after this, we update the data store again. So again, we use the same phone number from which the user is sending us a message. Then we update the current step, and we're also setting the budget based on what the user told us. And finally, we hit the last branch, which is basically asked all questions. So we're checking in here if the current step is equal to asked timeline. And we're going to send a final message. So let's look at what the final message looks like. So this is our final message, which is, thank you for providing this information. We will be in touch soon. And after this, we're sending we're saving the last bit of information that the user sent to us, which is the timeline. So you can see in here, we're basically fetching the message from the messages array, and then we're saving that into the timeline column. So once we have defined all of these components in our make.com scenario, then we would be in a position to actually run a test with our WhatsApp chatbot and see if all of these branches are executed. And finally, we're going to check our data store to make sure that it contains all the information that the user has provided to the chatbot. And yeah, we will take it from there. So let's run our scenario. And then we can go to WhatsApp, send a message to our chatbot, and then see what happens. So this is our chatbot, and I'm just going to send it like an initial message. Let's say, hi, I'm interested in your services. So let's see if we get any responses. As you can see, our scenario runs successfully and we actually hit the first branch of the pipeline. So you can see here the router diverted the traffic to the first branch, and then we actually send a reply back to our user or to ourselves. And we also added an entry in the data store. So if we go back to WhatsApp, you can see this is the message that we sent, and this is the reply that we got back from the bot. So now we can actually send another message to the bot. We can say, I want a website, and we can go back to our make.com scenario, run it again, and see what happens. You can see that our scenario runs successfully once again, and this time we hit the second branch in the pipeline. So now we should have asked about the budget. So now if we go back to WhatsApp, you can see that this is the final message. So at this stage, we would have saved all of the responses from our user into our data store. So in order to see this, let's go back to our data store. And yeah, so in make.com, basically, as I explained earlier, from the menu on the left-hand side, you need to select data stores. And from here, there is an option to browse the data store. So you need to click on this. So once you open your data store, then you should be able to see all the information that the user sent to our chatbot. So you can see we've got the phone number of our user, we've got the current step, we've got the service that our user wants, we have the budget, and we also have the timeline. So at this stage, you can use this information to either send an email or ingest this into some CRM or use the data for further processing before you decide what to do. So this is pretty much the end of this tutorial. If you found this video useful, please like it and subscribe to the channel. If you want to get this template behind this video, you can sign up for my school community. The link should be down below in the description. It's completely free and you don't need to pay anything. Thank you very much for your time and see you in the next video.